Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about moving in with your significant other. For me personally, my boyfriend and I have been living together for a year and a half now, and I felt like, I don't know, making a video about like tips and insight. One of the very first things that you want to do is actually have the conversation of should you actually move in together, and if that's a yes, also have the conversation of what is going to be expected of each other once the two of you actually move in. I'm just going to say this right now. My boyfriend and I did not follow this 100%, but it's kind of like learn from my quote unquote mistakes. Yeah, make sure you know what each individual wants out of this and how they like to keep their place, because honestly that could be a massive difference. But yeah, once you have covered all of that, you also have to take into consideration that living together is different than dating in the fact that you will be spending so much more time together. With spending so much time together, you also learn the person's interests more in depth. Like, I know that you would know the person obviously that you're moving in with, but at the same time, you don't know what they do when you're not there. It turns into you just kind of exist in the same space. You get comfortable with silence. There's nothing that really needs to be said. With that, just because you live together does not necessarily mean that you have to spend all of your time together. Pretty much how my boyfriend and I have it is that in the morning, he usually gets up earlier than I do. And we work shift work. I'm kind of morning, afternoon, and he's evening. So normally we'll spend the morning apart, meaning I will be in here and he'll be out in the living room. And even then, we're still talking. A lot of the time, the door's still open, or we're sending funny pictures back and forth to each other. So there's still that contact, but at the same time, there's that space. And then when we both come home at the end of the day, that's when we actually spend time together. The second thing that you need to consider, which kind of relates to the first point, is for the love of God, do not rush into things. My boyfriend and I actually didn't really have a choice. We ended up having to move suddenly. So as much as at that point we actually already were living together, it's just there wasn't a lease involved. But due to a long ass story that I really don't want to get into, we ended up having to give 2 months notice and get the hell out. Anyway, we didn't really have that fear, this was going to go wrong, even though honestly at that point I think we were only dating when we signed the lease, we were only dating we've been dating 9 months at that point. Pretty much, we were basically living together since we started dating. It's actually kind of funny. Yeah, just don't rush into it. A lease is a year. And you might not think that, a year, that's not that long. In reality, if it's a bad situation and ends badly, a year can be a long time. Next point, this is more of an insight thing rather than a tip thing. You will argue about housework. You will literally argue about the stupidest things. I'm trying to think of the stupidest argument we've had. Actually, the stupidest argument we had was actually the other night. We were hanging a poster that my mom had actually gotten us, and he wanted it it was literally a 2-inch difference, but it bothered me visually. We had a 5-minute argument of no. So we ended up compromising because he ended up not really caring about it in the end, but whatever. That you argue about stuff like that, wall decor. I never thought in my entire life that I would actually argue about that, but here I am. So anyway, what I was saying before my camera actually cut out was the importance of the decision of what to have for dinner becomes increasingly important. Like, last night, my boyfriend and I got home from work at like midnight, and neither of us wanted to cook, but we both needed to eat. So we ended up ordering out. But the thing is, all of the places on like Skip the Dish and Just Eat were pretty much already closed. So we ended up ordering pizza, whatever. He took forever to order, and I got the point where I was so hungry that, I became angry. And, the term hangry comes from. Yeah, that literally was my being. And I just hit the point where I looked at him. For the love of God, just order food. Just pick something so that, like, the food will show up. Otherwise, we're wasting time, and maybe they'll close too. And to tack on to that point, something that I've noticed with living with my boyfriend is whatever mood he's in, I'm in, and vice versa. And sometimes we get on each other's nerves because of it. And one of the things that we try and do to, sort of not do that is when we both get home from work, like, we have our, like, bitch sessions if we've had, like, a really bad day, or just we have story time about our day, and then that's pretty much the end of it. Like, we bitch, we get it out, and then we move on. So that way we're not bringing work home. But also, funny side note about that is that because, again, share life, work, and whatever, you will learn who your partner loves and hates at work. You know all the gossip, pretty much, about each other's places of work. And sometimes it gets interesting and hilarious if you ever actually end up meeting those people. Yeah, I don't really have a point for that. I just kind of think it's funny. This is a very important point. I don't know, well, it should have been one of the first points, but whatever. Okay, when you live together, you will end up watching TV together. If you both get really into a show, you are not allowed to watch episodes without them. Okay? It will end your relationship. Do not, for the love of God. Final point. I know this video is kind of all over the place, but I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get this out there to see if it's helpful for anybody. But the last point is that for organization of like the rent and the bills and everything, usually one person will solely take that over. Between my boyfriend and I, that would be me. I don't know why. I'm not financially responsible, but whatever. I'm the one with the credit card, which a lot of our bills unfortunately have to go on. So what ends up happening is we all get paid, like I get paid weekly, but he gets paid bi-weekly. So what ends up happening just near the end, somewhere near the end of the month, he will e-transfer me money, and then as soon as I get that money, I pay the bills. Like, I do not let that money sit in my account. The only time that I would is just for the rent. If he gets paid before my last paycheck comes in, then I don't have enough money for rent, and so I just have to wait for that, but it's not really a big deal. Just make sure somebody is like, one person is like responsible for all of the bills, just so it's all organized and you know that everything is getting paid. So I guess that is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed my rambliness. Subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss the next video.